Gentleman from Utah is recognized.
You know, I appreciate once again the discussion that we've had here today. And the gentleman from Massachusetts, who is a chairman of a very important committee, does a great job, charming, witty, one of the funniest members we have of Congress, actually said what my close was going to be. You know, someone once asked me, why do I care about this bill? I'm from Utah. I don't care about this river in Massachusetts. And you're right, I really don't. I didn't get involved in this issue by choice. The gentleman introduced a bill that had to come to my committee. But the reason that I do care is because exactly what the gentleman from Massachusetts said. We are attempting in a vote, by a majority vote, to change the definition of law. Now, when I was in college, I had a professor that told me that all those men that went to the Constitutional Convention had baggage that they took, which meant they had a common classic educational system. They understood what they were talking about. They went back to the concepts of Aristotle, who loved to make definitions of everything. And he said government was of the one, the few, and the many, and it could be either good or bad depending upon the attitude of those who were empowered to govern. Government that was good is a government where the people, the leaders of that government, cared about the individuals and were self-sacrificing. Government that was bad is where the people didn't care and they tried to make things for themselves. And then he gave definitions to that. So a government of one that was good was a monarchy. Called a monarch back then, that's plausive. The government of one that was bad was a tyranny. It is no coincidence that Thomas Jefferson, when he wrote the Declaration of Independence, of all the terms he could use to describe King George, called him a tyrant, because it harkened back to their common understanding of classical literature and everything Aristotle wrote. The government of the many that was good, he called a polity. And the government of the many that was bad, bad intentions, bad mindset, he called a democracy. And that's one of the reasons why we very seldom use the term democracy for the first 150 plus years of this country. The idea was that the worst form of government is one in which by a majority vote you can either take property from someone else and redistribute it, or you can change the definition of the law by a majority vote. And that's why I object to this bill, because that is exactly what we are trying to do. The language of the original act is still clear and has not been changed. The language is clear, and that's why the Park Service did say that this proposal for the lower ton is without precedent, that it is problematic. It does have its problems, because the law and the words of the law need to have a meaning. The law gives us guidelines, it gives us parameters, it protects the minority, at the same time it directs the majority. And it's just like if we ever have to come to the point in time where by a majority vote we can come in here and change the meaning of the law, we have moved to the time where we're back with Petruchio and Bianca, where the sun is the moon and night is day, and by a majority vote we can accomplish it. And that is why I am so opposed to this bill, because it is exactly what the gentleman said and exactly what we are doing. By a majority vote, we are going to change the definition of wild and scenic rivers. By majority vote. So I really don't care if you want to do this, if it's nice, if it enhances the attitude of any kind of urban area. It is not explicit with the letter of the law and with the spirit of the law, with the understanding of the law, which is why you're supposed to take a quarter mile of the embankment on either side of the designation and keep it free from development for preservation purposes, not economic discovery and not economic development. Now, I have great concerns, and I've expressed this many times, with the process that we have. At no time in the debate on this floor have we had more than perhaps a half dozen members who have heard the debate and participated in it. Perhaps a larger number are listening. But what will soon happen is we will call the vote on this bill. Through those doors will come 300 members who have not heard the debate and do not understand the issue of this bill. And they will look up on the screen and say, it's an issue, it's a bill for Mr. Frank. And they will say, I like him. He may be of my party. I'll vote for him. He's an influential chairman. I'll support him. He is a very nice person. He is a very funny person. He's probably the best debater we have on the floor. And I'll vote for it. But that is not the reason, and that is not a rationale for changing law by vote. instead of changing the words. Words have meaning. And if we ever deny that words have meaning, we no longer have rule of law. All we have is what Aristotle warned and threatened and criticized, that our attitude is going to be what drives us in the future. Not what we should do, but what we want to do at the time. So yes, it is important what the 68 bill says. Yes, it is important. Yes, the upper Taunton River has all the qualities for which the gentleman wants. And yes, the lower Taunton River does not. And I don't care whether you're talking about LNG ports or not. It doesn't meet the qualifications of a wild and scenic river. And until we change the law, we should not, by a simple majority vote on this bill, try and change the definitions of those words. And that, Mr. Chairman, is why I, from Utah, care about this river. Because if we can change the meaning of the Wild and Scenic Act by this vote, there is no river in America that is not in danger of being made wild and scenic for if you have enough votes to do it. And there is no law that can stand if you have enough votes to do it, which is why this is supposed to be a republic, why the words have meaning and the words of the law are significant and important. And that's why I beseech the handful of members of this floor who actually are listening to this debate to please understand the rudiments of this debate and the significant issue that we are doing right here. That's why we're making this significant. That's why we're putting this. That's why I'm opposed to this bill. I'll now yield back.